refuse to lose. I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse. Mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running toes, they gon' take them. Refuse to lose, built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win. Yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to today's Doghouse. I know it's been a while, since everything's been going on, but Dave's Doghouse is back. Dave's Doghouse is back. Give me 1 second, guys. Well, yeah, welcome back, people. It's Dave's Doghouse. I know it's been a while, but we got some things to talk about. Today is January 17th, 2026. So happy New Year to the people. I know it's like I said, 17 days in, so the New Year already started, but happy New Year to everyone. Hope everybody enjoyed last year. Hope you got all your goals down ready for this year to see what's gonna happen. And let's get it. Today, we will be purging the doghouse. So everyone you see here will no longer be in the doghouse. But it's not for good reason. Let's put it that way. It's not for good reason. The only reason why I'm doing this is because it's filled. There's no room for anyone else. So everyone here is going to go into the dog pound. So they're going to be there for a while. If they figure out they want to do something to get out, then hey, they'll get out. But for the moment, everyone here will be in there. You won't see these people. You won't see these people. You won't see any of these candidates anymore for a good little while. However, we do need to talk about who's going to be in the doghouse this time. So, as you all know, we have had a name for this, and it's puppy chow. So, who will be getting served puppy chow for the foreseeable future? We have to discuss this. So, candidate number one, Super Bowl winning head coach. No longer where he was before. He's come up short too many times. recently, for one, he coached one of the most historic franchises, and he actually stepped down on his own. I am talking about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is in the doghouse. Why? People, do you know that they haven't won a playoff game since 2016? And he was the head coach. You want to know they've lost in the wild card round the last 5 times they got to the playoffs? The other time they lost was in the division round, and that's when they went 11-0, and then went on the losing streak in 2017 and lost in the division round in the very first game. But 2020 lost in the wild card round, 2021 lost in the wild card round, and then the last 3 years also lost in the wild card round. And guess what? The regular season record was the exact same the last 3 seasons, 10-7. So yes, Mike Tomlin has had a career where he has never had a regular season losing record. But right now, he's decided to step down. Mike Tomlin is now going to be, I guess, doing some video stuff for maybe NFL Network or CBS. I'm not sure. He's more likely going to be doing commentary, but he already let his guys know that he will not be coaching next year. And there haven't been many head coaches for the Steel Curtain, and they actually haven't been the Steel Curtain for a little while now. And Mike Tomlin has been a part of that. You know, he was a part of the reason why they drafted guys like Kenny Pickett. You know, he's the reason why they had the offensive coordinator for so long. And, you know, they just haven't been able to get it done. They had opportunities this year to maybe draft a quarterback in the first round. They didn't do that. They did draft Will Howard, though. But they had opportunities to draft Shedeur Sanders. Didn't happen. Had opportunity to draft Jackson Dart. Well, you know, that didn't happen. They could have traded up and did something, but, you know, they went in another route. But, guys, my goodness. Mike Tomlin just couldn't get it done. So, for the foreseeable future, until he comes back and becomes a head coach and, you know, possibly, you know, give someone else, you know, finally get into the playoffs and get a playoff win, this is where he's going to be. So, Mike Tomlin, you're in the doghouse. My guy, you in the doghouse. Ooh, my guy, you in the doghouse. Haven't heard that sound in a while. Now, let's get to candidate number 2. Candidate number 2. Another head coach who is no longer where he was before. I can't say this is a historic franchise, but this is a franchise that has only been around for a while. Hasn't been around for about 50 years. They were in Cleveland before, but then moved to Baltimore and became the Baltimore Ravens. You know, they're known for their 2000 Ravens team that, you know, won a Super Bowl and, you know, had that famous defense. They won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer at quarterback, and then they won another one in 2012 against my 49ers with Joe Flacco at quarterback. Anquan Boldin was there. So, man, John Harbaugh is the next one. John Harbaugh, people, he has had 17 such instances where he's had second half blown leads. That is the most by an NFL coach since 1991. That's the year I was born, y'all. So just imagine how long ago that was. That's 34 years ago. 34 years before we can even think about someone else that has a bad rap like that. And then we can't forget about the times where they're in the playoffs and shoot, look at the AFC Championship game when they got there just a season or two ago. And they only ran the ball 6 times the entire game. You have Derrick Henry there, and you only run the ball 6 times. How can you expect to win a game if you don't use what you have? In 2022, he had a 40-25 lead versus the Miami Dolphins. Blew that game. This season, against the Bills, they were up 41-25, and he blew that game. 7 of these, since 2022, he's had 7 instances where he's had double-digit blown leads. That's just not going to, it's not going to work. It's not going to work like that. And now he's gone. I believe he's about to finalize the contract to be the head coach for the New York Giants, but he's going to have to prove himself there too. Because the Giants haven't done anything since Eli Manning was there. They haven't had any kind of playoff success since Eli Manning was there. They did beat the Vikings with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, but I mean, it's the Vikings. The Vikings don't have a history of winning. John Harbaugh going to have to prove himself wherever he goes next. And right now, that's looking like the New York Giants. Everything's still waiting to be finalized, but that's the most likely destination for John Harbaugh. And he's bringing Todd Monken with him. So Todd Monken is going to be his OC. What everything's going to look like, I don't know. But it got to get done. So John Harbaugh, you're in the same situation as Mike Tomlin. You're going to have to get it together. But for the moment, you're in the doghouse. My guy, you're in the doghouse. The very last candidate for the doghouse. There has been a lot of controversy around this guy throughout the entire season. Is he going to be featured enough? What's the issue? Should he be traded? Is he happy? Why is he reading a book on the sideline? He says he's always open. Yeah, you were open on 2 instances in a wild card playoff game. A.J. Brown and you dropped 2 key passes in that game. This is why they call wide receivers divas. They're dependent on what the quarterback can give them. And this year, after there was so much chaos going around with him being upset, not getting the ball, the offense being inconsistent. I mean, it was still inconsistent all season long. And now you look and see exactly where he is. 3 catches for 25 yards in a playoff game? That's it? That's all you got? I don't know. Some people say it's the OC, Kevin Patullo. He got fired. Some people say it could be Nick Sirianni because Kevin Patullo ran his offense the way that he wanted it. Some people say you could put the blame on Jalen Hurts because he's had multiple games this year where he hasn't thrown for 200 yards. And he did it again in the playoff game. He didn't throw for 200 yards. He threw a touchdown, but so did Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings is a wide receiver for the 49ers. Yes, I know he played quarterback before, but since he's been in the NFL, he's been a wide receiver. But A.J. Brown, this is when they needed you the most. This was a key game. You were at home. Jalen Hurts has not lost a home playoff game in his career since he started in the NFL. Now he has an L on that record. So, A.J. Brown, are you going to be an Eagle next year? Will you ask for a trade? Will they trade you? Because you still have a contract with them. So, I don't know, A.J. Brown. All I know is this is where you are until you improve your game. So, A.J. Brown, welcome to the Doghouse. My guy, you in the Doghouse. All right. Now that we got that out the way, it's time to talk about some dogs. The ones who's been doing what they need to do to win games, to improve their team, to make impacts, positive impacts. Very first candidate. Shout out to Vaughn, my guy, RBO Vaughn, for commenting, giving me the fire emojis. Make sure you subscribe to RBO. He's been having some fire episodes and throwing up some shorts that you guys need to go check out. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. But RBO is the place to be if you want to know about basketball. So that's where you need to go. This defense has been impressive all year long. They had a game against my team where they had a backup in. But the defense was so good that they still pulled out the win. This is the best defense in the NFL this season. And they showed it in the wild card round against the Pittsburgh Steelers, only allowing 6 points in that game. It's the Houston Texans defense. This defense is just phenomenal. They had 1, 2, 3 sacks in that game. 4 sacks, my apologies. 4 sacks against the Steelers in that game. And 2 defensive touchdowns in that game. So their defense had more points than the Steelers offense, the Steelers team, the entire game. Will Anderson Jr. making plays. Aziz Al-Sayer making plays. Jalen Petrie making plays. I mean, Sheldon Rankins had a big man touchdown in that game. And then you had who else? You had Kalen Bullock, who had a pick 6 in that game. They made Aaron Rodgers look his age in that game. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was 17 of 33 for 146 yards, only 4.4 yards per pass, and he had a QBR of 14.3. That is absolutely terrible. They didn't even allow 100 rushing yards. And if you count the sacks, the losses from the sacks, they only allowed 112 passing yards. So they didn't even have 200 yards of total offense that they allowed in that game. DK Metcalf only had 2 catches, 5 targets. Marquez Valdez-Scantling only had 3, 5 targets. Kenneth Gainwell probably had the most success at receiver, but it wasn't even that much. 4 catches for 26 yards with 6 targets. It wasn't much else really going on. There wasn't much else going on in that game for the Steelers. The Texas defense just took over. They made the Steelers look like they didn't belong. And this is with C.J. Stroud also struggling in that game as well. He threw an interception and had a fumble in that game. So, I mean, and his QBR was 62.4. It's not that good. He was 21 to 32 for 250 yards, a touchdown and a pick, and he was sacked 3 times. So, I mean, it's not like the Steelers defense gave up a lot. They did allow 100 yards rushing and a touchdown, but they didn't give up a lot. The defense is the offense is just couldn't do anything. So the Texans defense just took over. And that's why the Texas defense are dogs. The very next candidate, as you can see, the Texans right there. Very next candidate. This guy was surprisingly good in his playoff game. Started the year on suspension from something he did the previous year with the Los Angeles Rams. Came over to San Francisco, and he was really just a special teams guy, more so. That's more so what they used him for, was special teams. But in the playoff game against the Eagles, Demarcus Robinson, not the name that a lot of people would have thought to hear, was the best wide receiver on the field in that game. I'm not saying just for the 49ers. In that game. This is not counting Dallas Goddard. Dallas Goddard's a tight end. I'm saying wide receivers. He was the best wide receiver in that game. 6 catches for 111 yards, 18.5 average. He had his very first catch was a 61-yard catch. And it was on Quinyon Mitchell. You know, y'all hear Guantanamo Bay? Well, he had a field day on Guantanamo Bay. He had the game of his life that he's had in a while. He hasn't had a game like that all year long, but he did it in clutch time against the Eagles in the link. Oh, and he had 7 targets. So he only missed 1 catch. And I don't know if that was a drop or not. CMC also had 6 catches for 66 yards, but he also had 2 touchdowns in that game. He had a catching pass from Juwan Jennings that I mentioned before. He threw a touchdown pass. And Purdy gave him the game-sealing touchdown catch at the end of the game. Well, close to the end of the game. It was the possession before the Eagles got their last possession of the game. Kyle Juszczyk had a pretty good game, 4 catches, 49 yards. Juwan Jennings had 1 catch, but it was for 45 yards. And, you know, Eagles fans somehow still just can't give credit when credit is due. This defense played well when it needed to, made stops when it needed to. Yes, I understand I put A.J. Brown in here for those 2 drops, but other than that, it was really good defense around. With Jair Brown leaving that game early, George Kittle also got hurt in that game. He is out for the year, more than likely. He got a torn Achilles. I mean, man, it's shout out to Demarcus Robinson, man, because no one expected it to be you. You know, people would thought it would have been, Ricky Pearsall, who didn't play in that game. You know, Debo got traded to Washington. Brandon Ayuk hasn't played all year long, won't play. Demarcus Robinson is wide receiver 4? And he's doing this in the playoffs when it's needed the most. So, shout out to Demarcus Robinson. Shout out to the Niners for winning that game. And you a dog. Now it's time for the dog of the week. The big one, the main one, the one that has made the most impact in my eyes. And yeah, this may be a little biased because you see what's in the background. But it also makes a lot of sense. I could have named CMC. I could have named Brock Purdy. I could have named Kyle Shanahan. But no, I'm going to go to a guy who's had the most losses in this team. And that's Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is the dog of the week. This guy has been able to get this done. He's down to his 5th and 6th linebackers. He does not have Fred Warner. And that's also, people got to remember what we lost this offseason. We lost so much depth this offseason. We got Dre Greenlaw is in Denver. Tyler Hufanga is also in Denver. We lost so many guys on this defense. Travarius Ward is in Indianapolis. We got to go, and I'm going to name some guys here. You probably don't even know who they are. Garrett Wallow. You probably don't know who that is. You know who Eric Kendricks is. Marcus Siegel. He's a rookie. Diamador Lenore. You should know who that is. Upton Stout. You know. Keon White. He came over from New England. You know who Bryce Huff is. Cleveland Ferrell. He's back in San Francisco again. Jason Pinnock. Ronaldo Green. Robert Bill Jr. Jalen Grant. These are guys who are making plays on this defense that most people didn't even expect to be in this position. He has no Nick Bosa, no Michael Williams, who we drafted in the first round this year, who was starting to come on. You know, like I said, no Fred Warner's not there. That's the leader. That's the heart and soul of this defense. And he is still able to get things done. Eagles fans told me that the 49ers weren't going to score 20 points on them. They couldn't even score 20 points in their own house. 49ers won that game 23-19. And this defense, with so many injuries, was able to make stops when it needed to get done. Eric Kendricks came up with a key deflection when Jalen Hurts threw the ball into triple coverage to Dallas Goedert. And he made a key play on 4th down, which sealed the game for the 49ers. Robert Saleh has been able to get things done this season without anything. This team has the most injuries out of anyone in the NFL, and they are in the division round of the playoffs. And they played today. So shout out to the dog, Robert Saleh, to this defense who's just been making plays. And they had really no pressure. They had 1 sack that entire game. 1 sack. There was not a lot of pressure going against that team, and they still were able to make plays. So, like I said, shout out to Robert Saleh and this defense for getting the job done. Robert Saleh, you are the big dog, the dog of the week. Welcome. That concludes Dave's Doghouse, the return of Dave's Doghouse. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you for everyone who commented. I know I had as many as 40 people watching, so I appreciate all of y'all for that. Let's have a great day. I appreciate y'all for joining in, and see y'all next time. Peace out.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.